You hand over your card, $350, maybe $500, and you walk out with a box that feels heavy, tissue paper folded just right, a shoe bag included. The logo is embossed on the insole, the leather looks polished under the store lights, and you tell yourself you bought quality. Then the sole starts separating at the toe after 14 months. The leather creases so deep it cracks, and you try to resole them. The cobbler shakes his head. Glued construction, nothing to stitch back to, and you throw them out. That is not a quality purchase, that is a marketing purchase, and today we are going to show you the difference. This video breaks down 8 men's shoe brands that consistently charge more than their construction justifies, followed by 5 brands most men have never heard of that put more money into the actual shoe than into the logo above the insole. We are going to look at leather type, construction method, sole attachment, repairability, real cost per wear, and where your money actually goes. Before we go brand by brand, here is the one framework that changes everything. There are 3 ways a dress shoe or boot is put together. The first is cemented construction, also called glued, where the upper is bonded to the sole with adhesive, fast to make, cheap to... The second is Blake stitch, where a single row of stitching runs through the insole, the welt, and the outsole. Cleaner looking, slimmer profile. The third is Goodyear welt, where a strip of leather or synthetic material called the welt is stitched to the upper and then to the outsole separately. It creates a cavity that can be filled with a cork footbed, it can be resoled multiple times, and done right, a Goodyear welted shoe can last 20 years. Done wrong, it can be faked with a false welt stitched on top of a glued sole, so knowing the difference matters. Now add leather. Full-grain leather is the top layer of the hide. It has natural markings, it breathes, it develops a patina, and it gets better with age. Corrected grain leather has been sanded down and given an artificial texture. It looks uniform and clean, but it also peels, cracks early, and does not age gracefully. These 2 things, construction and leather grade, tell you most of what you need to know about whether a shoe is worth its price, and everything else is marketing. Brand number 1, Cole Haan, which sits in a strange place in the market, charging between $150 and $300 for dress shoes and positioning themselves as the refined professional option. The branding is clean, the stores look good, and the marketing leans into urban sophistication, but here is what you are actually buying. The vast majority of Cole Haan's dress shoes use cemented construction, and the leather is frequently corrected grain or top grain with heavy finishing. They have invested heavily in comfort technology, most notably their Grand.OS cushioning system, which is genuinely functional, but comfort is not construction. You can have a comfortable shoe that falls apart in 2 years, and Cole Haan frequently delivers exactly that. The bigger issue is that the price has climbed significantly over the past decade, while the construction approach has not changed. At $150, there are better constructed alternatives, and at $250, there is almost no excuse to buy these unless comfort foam is the only thing you care about. The price is in the branding and the retail footprint, not in the shoe. Brand number 2, Johnston Murphy, which hurts more because the brand has real history, having been making shoes since 1850, and presidents have worn them. The problem is that heritage is not the same as current construction standards, and today's Johnston Murphy dress shoes are largely cemented construction. The leather ranges from acceptable to unremarkable depending on the line, and the Melton, the Larzy, and the Cormac retail between $175. Structurally, these are not built to last beyond a few years of regular wear, and the brand has introduced some Goodyear welted options in recent years. But they are not the standard, and they often use a faux welt aesthetic without the genuine construction underneath. You are paying for a century and a half of shoemaking history that no longer informs how the shoe in your hand was built. If you are going to spend $250 on a dress shoe, spend it on a brand where the construction method is a selling point and not a footnote. Brand number 3, Hugo Boss, whose shoes sit in the $200 to $500 range and look objectively excellent with elegant lasts and precise modern design language. Hugo Boss is a fashion house first, and shoes are a licensed category, meaning the shoes bearing the Boss name are not made by a dedicated footwear manufacturer with a legacy of craft. They are made by a licensee who produces to a margin and a price point, and the leather frequently involves heavy finishing. Construction is almost universally cemented, and at $350 you are buying a logo that lives on suits and runways, not a shoe with a lineage in the Northampton tradition. A boss wearing Hugo Boss shoes almost certainly cannot have those shoes resold, and that is the difference between a fashion item and an investment. Brand number 4,
Ted Baker, which operates in the $150 to $350 zone with a strong British aesthetic, clever pattern work.
The shoes look great in photos and on shelves, but in hand, the story gets more complicated. Construction is generally cemented. The brand's playful identity does not translate into playful construction. It translates into shoes that photograph well and wear down within a year of regular use. You are paying for personality and design language, not for a shoe that will be on your feet in 5 years.
Brand number 5, Magnanni, a Spanish shoe brand that charges between $350 and $700 and markets itself on...
The shoes are genuinely beautiful, the designs are elegant, and the leather finishes are among the most visually striking in the market at this price point.
The problem is the construction. The vast majority of Magnanni shoes use Blake stitch and not Goodyear Welt, and at $500, that is a harder sell. When brands with Goodyear Welt exist at $300, the resoling capability is limited, the water resistance is lower, and the longevity ceiling is lower. At $400, you expect construction that lasts a decade, but Magnanni gives you a beautiful shoe that may give you 5 good years if you care for it well.
That is not terrible, but it is a luxury aesthetic product and not a long-term footwear investment, and the artisan story costs extra.
Brand number 6, Donald Pliner, which charges $250 to $450 and has built a dedicated following on comfort, distinctive styling, and a fashion-forward identity.
The shoes do deliver on comfort, the fit is often excellent, and the designs are genuinely distinctive in a market full of generic cap toes.
But the construction does not match the pricing.
Cemented soles, leather quality that often trends toward corrected grain.
If you are looking for a shoe that rewards long-term ownership, this is not your brand at this price.
Brand number 7, Ferragamo, the first brand on this list where the price gets genuinely difficult to justify from a pure construction standpoint.
Salvatore Ferragamo makes beautiful shoes. The brand's history in Hollywood and Italian craftsmanship is real and deep, and the shoes retail between $500 and $1,200.
At that price, you have a right to expect Goodyear Welt or equivalent construction on every standard dress shoe, but you frequently do not get it.
Many Ferragamo dress shoes use Blake stitch or cemented construction, and the leather is often full grain on the upper, but heavily finished.
What you are paying for is access to a legacy fashion house, the Gancini logo, and an aesthetic language that has dressed film stars and royalty.
That has real value if brand signal is the goal, but at $600, a shoe should last 15 years in appropriate rotation, and most Ferragamo dress shoes will not.
Brand number 8, Christian Louboutin men's shoes, where the red sole is one of the most recognizable signals in fashion, but for men's dress shoes, the calculus is brutal.
Christian Louboutin men's footwear ranges from $700 to over $1,500, and the construction is generally cemented or Blake stitched.
The leather varies but is rarely exceptional by artisan standards. The shoes are not made to be resoled, and the red sole is a painted... You are paying for one of the most powerful fashion signals in contemporary culture, and that signal will cost you more than a pair of Goodyear welted shoes in top-quality full-grain leather. Shoes that will outlast the Louboutin by a decade, and this is not a bad product, it is a status product sold at a status price. At $900, you deserve a shoe that can be rebuilt, but Louboutin charges you for being seen, and that is a completely different transaction.
Now the tone of this video shifts, because the problem is not that premium shoe prices exist.
The problem is when premium prices are not backed by premium construction, and a shoe that costs $500 and is built on Goodyear Welt, that shoe over its lifetime may cost you less per wear than a $200 cemented shoe you replace every 2 years. And the math changes completely when construction is real. That is what the next 5 brands understand. They are not household names, they are not in every mall, but they are where real shoe value lives at accessible prices. Hidden goldmine number 1, Beckett Simonon, which operates on a made-to-order model, taking your order and building the shoe instead of producing inventory. This allows them to put more of the price into the product and less into carrying costs, and their dress shoes and loafers use Blake stitch while boots move into Goodyear Welt territory.
The leather is sourced from well-regarded tanneries in Colombia and Europe. The full-grain leather is genuine and not corrected. And the price. At that price, with that leather quality and that construction, the value ratio is difficult to beat, and the shoe that arrives is genuinely better. If you are willing to wait 3 to 4 weeks, you are getting a shoe where the money went into tannery and craft and not into lights and square footage.
Hidden goldmine number 2, Grant Stone, an American brand that builds shoes in China and is fully transparent about it, using it as a feature and not a liability.
They partner with a factory in Xiamen that has a genuine heritage in Goodyear welted construction and works with high-grade leathers.
The result is a shoe that retails between $250 and $350 and is built to the standard of shoes sold for $500 to $700 elsewhere. Goodyear Welt, full-grain leather from respected tanneries, cork footbed, leather or rubber sole depending on the last, and real repairability that your cobbler will appreciate.
Grandstone is particularly strong in their chukka boots and derby styles, and across their lineup, the construction is consistent in a way that many traditional heritage brands can no longer claim. They are not hiding what they are showing you exactly what you get, and what you get at $300 is embarrassingly good. Hidden goldmine number 3. Mermin, a Spanish brand based in Mallorca that has become something of a legend in online dress shoe communities.
The reason is simple. They produce Goodyear welted shoes in full-grain leather on elegant and classic lasts for between $170 and $250.
That price for that construction should not be possible, but Mermin runs a lean operation, sells primarily direct to consumer, and focuses on the product instead of the retail experience.
The leather quality is real, the construction is genuine Goodyear Welt, the design language is classic without being boring. For a man who wants a proper dress shoe that will last a decade, Mermin is consistently mentioned alongside brands that cost 3 times as much. The gap in product quality is small, the gap in price is enormous, and this is a brand where the price is in the shoe and not in the storefront. Hidden goldmine number 4, Thursday Boot Company, which has built a following in the boot category by delivering construction quality that exceeds the price point dramatically. Their boots retail between $150 and $220. The construction uses Goodyear Welt on most of their core styles.
The lasts are designed by people who clearly understand both aesthetics and functionality. The boots wear in well, age authentically, and can be resoled.
Thursday also has strong customer service and a direct-to-consumer model that removes middlemen and puts more of the margin back into product quality.
They are not trying to be Crockett and Amp Jones. They are trying to give you a $400 boot for $180, and they succeed.
If you have been spending $250 on fashion boots that look good for a year and fall apart, Thursday Boot Company is a direct correction to that habit. Hidden goldmine number 5, Carlos Santos, a Portuguese shoe brand that operates in the $300 to $500 range.
Portugal has a shoemaking tradition that rivals Spain and England, and Carlos Santos is one of the clearest expressions of that tradition in the contemporary market.
Goodyear Welt on their dress and casual lines, full grain and museum calf leathers with genuine character, and hand-fitting. At $350, a Carlos Santos Oxford or Derby is competing directly with shoes from Magnanni, Johnston Murphy, and Cole Haan at the same price or higher.
Nobody at the bar is going to notice your shoes and say the name, but what you gain is a shoe that a cobbler will look at with respect.
A shoe that will develop a patina over years of wear and may still be on your feet when the designer alternative has been discarded. Here is what this entire video comes down to. The price of a men's shoe does not tell you what it is made of.
It tells you what the brand has decided it is worth charging based on what you believe before you turn the shoe over and look at the sole.
Every time you pay for a name on the insole without looking at the construction underneath, you are paying for someone else's marketing budget, their retail lease, and their celebrity endorsement.
Those are real costs, they are not your costs, and you are not getting them back in the leather or the welt or the footbed.
The question that should follow you into every shoe store and every browser tab is this: is the price in the shoe, or is it in the name written inside it?
Full grain leather you can feel, and construction you can see if you know where to look, because the welt is visible along the seam between the upper and the sole.
A Goodyear Welt has a clearly stitched perimeter, a cemented sole has a uniform glued seam, and a Blake stitch runs through the insole where you can feel the stitching if you press inside.
These things are observable, they are not hidden from you, and the industry simply hopes you do not know to look. But now you know.
When you buy a shoe at $400 from a brand that uses Goodyear Welt construction, full grain leather from a tannery with a real name, and when you have that shoe resold twice and wear it for 15 years, that shoe costs you less than 2 pairs of $200 cemented fashion shoes that last 18 months each. The math is not complicated, the discipline is, so stop rewarding marketing with your money and start rewarding construction.
The brands that build shoes honestly are waiting for you to find them. They do not have the budget to come to you, and this video is their introduction. Your money should go into the thing you are buying and not into the story about the thing you are buying, and that is the only rule that matters.